In 2010, the first cyber warfare attack to target critical infrastructure systems was discovered. While the long-term success of Stuxnet has been debated, it is believed to have caused at least a 3-year delay of Iran's nuclear program. Due to the complexity and multiple zero-day exploits, it is believed to have been the work of a state-sponsored program. This example helps to show that critical infrastructure systems, particularly supervisory control and data acquisition systems, or SCADA, are vulnerable to cyber warfare. This follows a trend where smart grids are being pushed, but this leaves power grids vulnerable to cyber attacks. The power grid consists of 4 main levels: generation, transmission, distribution, and consumption. This results in a wide variety of systems owners and a wide variety of regulatory agencies, which results in a number of weaknesses. Customers are the only source for knowledge of outages. Utilities have the problem of trying to match generation to demand without any method to anticipate demand and to request demand reduction or load shedding. This means that utilities have to overgenerate power to peak demand, which is expensive and wasteful. Lastly, customers have no way of knowing how and when to use energy. Smart grids were designed as a way to address these weaknesses in the power grid. By using more communication between components, load shedding can be implemented so that the demand peak can be lowered, which lowers the need to bring additional generation plants online. The integration between components also helps utilities to perform predictive analysis, allowing wind and solar resources to be used more effectively. And when their production will be lower, utilities can keep power appropriately balanced. Also, customers can use the additional communication to predict energy costs and manage their energy use to minimize costs, which has the benefit of lowering peak demand. However, while incorporating information technology and networks, the smart grid is exposed to a wide variety of threats. Its large scale makes it difficult to manage security for every subsystem in the grid. In addition to by its very nature, smart grids are very complex because they need to connect different systems and networks with different owners and architectures. SCADA systems are particularly vulnerable because security was not thought of during development in many cases. Traditional SCADA systems relied on proprietary protocols to provide security. The push to smart grids opened the need for open protocols and architectures, which increased the probability of attacks as it lessened the security by obscurity that many relied on. There is not much history of SCADA attacks. While it is very uncommon for businesses to report intrusion incidents, there is the added component with SCADA systems that governments may also try to suppress reporting. This is to keep the general public unaware of weaknesses existing in the systems that maintain their nation's critical infrastructure. The thought is that such knowledge might potentially cause nationwide panic, which governments would try to avoid. There can be much learned from analyzing past incidents involving SCADA systems that have been reported. Chernobyl's nuclear incident was partially due to the engineering team disabling the emergency cooling system so that it would not affect tests that the team was performing. This catastrophe resulted in 56 direct deaths and over 4,000 cancer-related deaths. The total cost was estimated at least $1.2 billion, and the site will remain radioactive for over 100,000 years. In 2006, the Browns nuclear power plant in Alabama had to shut down because some of the recirculation pumps failed. This failure was found to have been due to an overload of network traffic. There was a vulnerability in the system that when there was overload of traffic, the system became unresponsive. While there was no proof that this was the result of a denial of service attack, it is a plausible cause. In 2010, the Stuxnet worm was identified. It is the first cyber weapon deliberately targeted at SCADA systems. Stuxnet is believed to have targeted the SCADA system at a nuclear enrichment facility in Iran. The worm specifically targeted Siemens control systems and covertly reprogrammed programmable logic controllers. The worm covertly destroyed centrifuges in the uranium enrichment process so that they would have to be replaced more often. The worm would show faulty data to the technicians to hide its destruction of the centrifuges. The worm was highly sophisticated and used 5 zero-day exploits. The worm depended on a deep knowledge of the specific system at the facility and would have required a large time to develop. For these reasons, it is believed to have been the result of a state-sponsored program. Two main threats exist to SCADA systems. The first is the denial of service attack. This would mean that a SCADA system that monitors critical systems in a power plant would be unable to take corrective action if needed. A DOS attack could result in a similar situation as what occurred in the Browns Ferry nuclear power plant. A DOS attack could come from the network in a general network attack or through vulnerability in the SCADA software itself. The second threat is from unauthorized access or integrity breach. This would result in inaccurate data being presented to the monitoring system, which could impact the integrity of the decisions based on the data from the monitoring system. This could be the result of malware such as the Stuxnet virus or a direct attack by a person. The danger is that the system may be appearing to be running correctly while false data is being fed into the system. The result is that the SCADA system could react to the false data and perform actions that are either unnecessary or not react when action is being called for. There is also increased risk in SCADA software due to flaws. One such flaw that can occur is unpatched software. This can be the result of the difficulty in taking down a SCADA system to apply patches regularly, if at all. By its very nature, a SCADA system is always on, and it is hard to find a time to turn it off. Patches need to be applied not just to the SCADA software, but also to the operating system of the host computer. Vulnerabilities in either the SCADA software or the operating system could be the source of an attack. Another flaw is that an antivirus or firewall can slow down the flow of data. This can be the result of taking up clock cycles or drop packets. This could potentially reduce the accuracy of the SCADA system. As a result, SCADA system users could turn off or bypass firewalls or antivirus software. This exposes the operating system to viruses and malware that can be just as much of a threat as a direct attack. As the need for an integrated power grid has arisen, smart grids have been created to address this need. While they solve many problems in the power grid, there are inherent vulnerabilities that result from integrating systems that were previously separate or on dedicated networks together. One of the more glaring problems results from SCADA software. The example of the Stuxnet worm has shown that it can be done by a nation state, and other incidents involving SCADA systems show the consequences that could occur in the case of cyber warfare. There is a need to address the problems in our power grid before an incident occurs that puts people's lives at risk.